Let's get a read from New York Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin. Congressman, what I don't know, and I think that the Democrats do have a legitimate beef in this regard, is not knowing what the president wants to do. He didn't really outline it or articulate it more here. He might have in the closed-door session with these congressmen and senators. But I'm wondering how this leverage feature of being able to go off the $200 billion that apparently the federal government provides up front would work. I mean, what process do you have to go through to then, apply matching funds to that?
Well, I would say as far as state and local governments go, in New York, my represented district on Long Island, you have a lot of infrastructure assets that are owned by the state and local governments. The roads and the bridges, these are projects that the state and local governments have to do anyway. So there is a lot of potential there for the federal government to be able to partner with the state and local government where they need to do this regardless. Same thing with the rail, Long Island Railroad, MTA, huge mass transit all around the New York City metropolitan area. There's certainly plenty of room for partnership. As far as working with...
but I want something out of that partnership, right, Congressman? If I'm a business or an enterprise or a cement mixer or, a highway, divider, builder or whatever, I'm going to want something. I'm going to want a guaranteed revenue stream to back up whatever commitment I'm making. And that's where this whole thing gets kind of, foggy. Now, a revenue stream to some means tolls, it means higher fees, it means something that would encourage an individual company to come forward and commit. And I don't know if I see that.
Well, where you can have a use of public-private partnerships, private activity bonds, where you have, let's say, a local operating engineer union that's doing the work on the project, their pension funds get invested in projects all the time elsewhere that doesn't actually go towards projects that they're working on. So leveraging the investment of the pension funds of those who are doing the work, being creative and just trying to figure out any way at all that you can leverage money is helpful. Your point is certainly well taken. It is important to note that in some states, public-private partnerships have worked well as the investment of pension funds and the use of private activity bonds.
No, you're quite right about that. It's a spotty record, but there have been some success stories there. Where it's a little less clear is in this environment where we have no money. We're looking now at a $1 trillion deficit this year, maybe as long and wide as the eyes can see. I understand the conundrum the president's in, that you're in. You can't just throw out $1.5 trillion up front of federal money to get this done. I'm thinking that Democrats are coming back and saying, well, why not? So I think you guys have to explain how this is going to work better, because very smart people like the idea of a public-private partnership. It always sounds good. But I don't think the administration has actually crunched the numbers or the details on this. I just don't.
It's something that's really important to point out is at the end of 2015, Congress passed, President Obama signed into law, a 5-year funded highway bill. And that included a lot of money that's being used, including money to help state and local bridges, but also the highway system all across our entire country. It's President Trump who during the campaign said, despite the fact that you just passed a 5-year long-term funded highway bill, I'm a builder. If I'm elected president, this is something I want to do. It's the president who has forced this into the agenda.
No doubt, but he's a builder who has relied, and I'm not besmirching him for that, on debt. He is probably one of the craftiest at handling debt, accumulating so much of it in his career with multiple bankruptcies that he coined that expression, when you owe banks money, they own you. When the banks a lot of money they've given you, you own them. And I think his fondness for debt has now extended to a federal undertaking here that could really zap taxpayers. That's my fear.
I think, though, that there is massive contrast between where he is in his framework versus where Senator Schumer, for example, was with what he's been proposing. So when we were hearing a $1 trillion number, during the campaign, Wilbur Ross had an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal where he was talking about this amount of money in federal tax dollars, about $250 billion in tax credits, and then the rest through unleashing private capital. At the same time, Senator Schumer was saying he was using the same 1 trillion number, but he was talking about $1 trillion in federal tax dollars.
But you've got to find a better way, and you probably know this far better than fact. I think that's a given. You do, Congressman. Someone's got to explain how this private trigger works and how that private money follows the public money that's going into it. Because I know a lot of business guys who are just driven by the almighty dollar, God bless them, and they want to see how this is going to work for them. If they're going to put money in the kitty, they got to make sure that whatever upfront money the federal government is providing is not going to leave them gouged, and certainly not going to leave local taxpayers gouged.
I could give you two great examples. One is with regards to the leasing of land. On Long Island, where I am from, the Northport Department of Veterans Affairs Hospital has all sorts of buildings that are at 15% occupancy, for example. There are opportunities right now that exist that we're pursuing with the Northport VA for the public-private partnerships there with the leasing of land, and also with regards to financing. And the use of different bonding where private entities are actually able to get more advantageous financing for some of what they want to do, utilizing that relationship with government. So this is something that is early on in actually getting the final solution across the finish line.
I know what you're saying, and that's a very good example and a good explanation. I'm telling you, they're not doing it. And I don't think I think this came out the gate half-assed. That's all I'm saying. And I could be wrong, but I just think it came out real fast because it does sound good. $1.5 trillion infrastructure spending, but we're not going to do it all with your taxpayer money. And I just don't think they explain this through the process, how this could be very advantageous, and how it could, perform the magic the administration assumes it can. But I dare say I don't think they even know it.
Well, there's another element, though, is that they come out of the gate saying this is something that we want to do, we want to pursue, we want to work with Congress, Republicans and Democrats to get it over the finish line. And I was, just before coming on air, I was looking at all different kinds of media outlets and opinion contributor pieces, including members of Congress on the Democratic side and left-leaning contributing pieces, op-eds that are written by people outside of Congress, and they are all just completely slamming the plan, and they're saying $200 billion isn't enough, understanding that this is $200 billion on top of what we were already planning on doing.
Right.
It's an attitude that is pervasive, all throughout other parts of the media and social media.
But you got to explain it, right? I mean, you made a good faith effort here to explain it, but I think they came out the gate with this saying something that looks good on paper to satisfy conservatives in your party. Democrats are coming back and saying, I don't understand this. I think the old Ronald Reagan approach, the JFK approach to tax cuts and how you pitch them, sell them, and do so again and again would have come in handy here, because this looks like it came out the gate like one of my son's, term papers, the night before, really bad, and just, like a Hail Mary pass. But I could be wrong.
Well, the good news is that going back to during the campaign in the summer of 2016, you are looking at a framework now that is somewhat consistent, pretty consistent, with where they were when he was candidate Trump. So now he's the president. They spent 2017 having a lot of meetings at the White House, bringing in people.
This has not moved since then. I don't see much clarification since then. It might, and I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying the reason why you're running into all this criticism from conservatives in your own party and from Democrats is there's no there there. It's like one of those sugarless cakes, if you've ever tried them. They look great, but I'm telling you, Congressman, they're horrific.
Well, I'd say a $200 billion sugarless cake is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
It's something for us to build upon if, in good faith, Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals actually want to get something done, we'll get it done.
Fair enough.
We'll figure out how to turn this into legislative form that gets across the finish line.
Thank you for working with my cake analogy, by the way. No crumbs there, young man. Thank you very much, Congressman.